Good afternoon, Cedarfield. How is everyone doing today? I am Karen Wilder. I'm the dietitian here at Cedarfield. Happy to come to you live from the great room, or the fellowship hall. Sorry, the great room's upstairs where I reside typically. So it is a gorgeous day outside, so hopefully you're out there enjoying this beautiful kind of fall preview. It almost a little hint of fall in the air, even though it's August. But if you're not outside enjoying, I'm glad that you're tuning in. Anyway, so today we are going to talk about power couples in the nutrition world. So, if you're a fan of pop culture and movies and stuff, you always know there are like celebrity power couples or, whatever. So today we're going to talk about those in nutrition. So, we all know that there are certain vitamins and minerals that we need every day to keep us healthy. They all have different functions in our bodies. Some of them have multiple functions and are good for us in a lot of different ways. But what a lot of people don't know is that some of these vitamins and minerals and nutrients work hand in hand to make them more effective and more efficient in our bodies. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's gonna seem complicated, but if you stick with me to the end, I'll give you a secret as to how to keep it simple. All right. So the big one that a lot of people aren't aware of is the power couple of iron and vitamin C. So we'll talk about the benefits of each of those and then how they work together. So iron is a mineral that our bodies need. Hopefully this is not a surprise to you. It helps primarily in the transport of oxygen from our lungs to, into the blood system, which can then transport that oxygen all over the body to wherever our bodies need oxygen. So if you're not getting enough oxygen, if you're not getting enough iron, then you're probably not getting enough oxygen, which will then make you feel tired, sluggish, confused, maybe even dizzy, short of breath. And then if you're not getting enough iron consistently and you have a true deficiency, then that can lead to anemia, which can then affect you even more greatly, with your it'll decrease your immune system. It can affect your skin health and your hair, your muscle strength, and your balance, which becomes, a bigger and bigger issue as we get older. So it's very important to make sure we're keeping those iron levels up. And it's really easy to get iron through food. There's lots of animal and plant-based sources for iron, so it's really not too difficult to make sure you're getting enough. So some of the popular animal sources for iron is liver, of course. That's usually kind of the one we all go to, although I know liver's not that popular. But you can get it through beef, turkey, lamb, and eggs. And then some of the plant-based sources that are higher in iron are things like beans, that's a big one, soy or tofu, olives. Breakfast cereals is a great source. It's fortified. They're just kind of adding the iron in because breakfast cereal is very popular food that a lot of people eat. So as kind of a way to make sure people are getting lots of vitamins and minerals, they're kind of adding it into some of those popular foods like breakfast cereals. So that's a great source of iron. Also your leafy greens, your broccoli, beets, and peas. So how much iron do we need? So as we get older, the amount of iron for people aged 50 and over is just 8 milligrams, not very much. For women of childbearing age, during menstruation, they need a lot more, but then that goes significantly down once you're postmenopausal. So for men and women over the age of 50, it's just 8 milligrams. So to put that into context, obviously 8 milligrams is a tiny amount of anything, but for food, to put it into context, if you had one serving of liver, you would be getting 5 milligrams. And if you had, 1 cup of beans, now I know that's a lot of beans, you will be getting your full 8 milligrams of iron. So you could eat that throughout the day. You don't have to eat a whole cup of beans in a day. That could be quite uncomfortable in your GI system. But if you had a serving of some kind of a soy product like tofu, you'd be getting 3 milligrams of iron a day. Breakfast cereal has 18 milligrams in, I think, a cup of, say, Raisin Bran or whatever. So that's a lot. And then your leafy greens, if you have a serving of leafy greens, which is like a cup of cooked spinach or broccoli, that's got 3 milligrams. So, if in theory you went down to the Cedar Grill for dinner one night and you had a pork tenderloin, a side of sauteed spinach, and a baked potato, you would be set for the day. So it's really easy to get those proper levels of iron, whether you're vegetarian or you're an animal meat eater too. So either way, you can get them. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that, as we get older, it becomes harder for our bodies to absorb vitamins and minerals. So vitamin C can help with that. So iron depends on vitamin C for absorption, and especially the plant-based sources of iron. So if you are having something to eat that's a good source of iron and you're eating it specifically to get that iron, you also want to make sure you're pairing it with some good source of vitamin C, and that's going to help your body absorb it the best it can, so you can get the most benefit out of it. So obviously vitamin C, most people are familiar with vitamin C as, one of the most common vitamins. It's really easy to get through brightly colored vegetables and fruits, especially our citrus fruits, but also things like strawberries, kiwis, bell peppers, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, all of these things. It's not so much, people always ask me when I talk about this, well, do you have to eat them at the exact same time? Like how much time, span will, if you eat vitamin C at this point and iron at this point in the day, what's the time span? I wouldn't focus so much on that. If you're just focusing each day on getting a wide variety of fruits and veggies, and all and good protein sources, fats, etc., it's all gonna kind of balance out, and they'll be able to help each other out. They don't have to be at the exact same time. But if you go to the Cedar Grill and you get a really yummy filet mignon, you might consider going home and having a quick little glass of orange juice or something to absorb all that iron and not let it go to waste. All right, so that's our first power couple. Our second one is calcium and vitamin D. So this one hopefully is a little more common, especially as we get older, because hopefully as you get older, it's kind of pounded into your brain how important it is to get calcium, and therefore it's also important to get vitamin D, because kind of in the same way as iron and vitamin C function, calcium and vitamin D function. So we need vitamin D for calcium absorption. So obviously we know calcium is really important for our bone health and maintaining the structure of our bones, but it's also really good for helping your blood vessels constrict and dilate to control the flow, your blood pressure and the flow of blood throughout your body. It's also good for muscle contracting and also blood clotting and even nerve transmission. So all of these things would benefit from getting proper levels of calcium each day. So deficiency in calcium will lead to osteoporosis, reduced bone mass, and then bone fragility, which then leaves you more prone to, bone fractures when you fall or bang your arm or something like that. And then, of course, hopefully we know postmenopausal women are especially prone to osteoporosis. So it's really important for everyone to be getting the amount of calcium that you need each day, but especially our ladies. All right, so the recommendation for men and women over 51 is 1,200 milligrams. So that goes up at 51. So it was 1,000 for most people, but then once you hit 51, it goes up to 1,200 milligrams. So we need more as we get older, so keep that in mind. Calcium is also very easy to get through food. Obviously, dairy products are, most people are aware that dairy products such as milk and cheese and yogurt are all really great sources of calcium. But then also your leafy greens, shellfish, again, soy products like tofu are also great sources. And then calcium is another one of those minerals, kind of like iron, that is fortified a lot in foods. So things like grains, again, like our breakfast cereals, and then also fruit juices. They're starting to fortify those more with calcium, just to help us all make sure we're getting enough calcium. One thing to keep in mind as we get older, it's not uncommon for us to become more and more lactose intolerant. It's not necessarily going to happen to everyone, but it does happen pretty commonly as we get older, and it might, vary with the severity of that lactose intolerance. So if that's the case for you, it might be harder for you to get calcium through dairy products. You probably, you've maybe given up milk or, cheese and things like that, which would be unfortunate for me at least, because I love all things dairy. So hopefully that won't happen to me. But, so I know a lot of older people start switching over to things like soy milk or almond milk, or now they have oat milk, all these different, kind of alternatives to regular cow's milk and dairy products. So that's fine, especially if you really enjoy cereal in the morning, things like that. But you want to make sure that those products that you're buying are all fortified with calcium. And also protein, which we're not really talking about protein, but just to kind of throw that in there. Because dairy products are also a great source of protein, which is very important for older adults. And a lot of those dairy alternatives don't have protein and calcium like a dairy product would. It is pretty common now that they are being fortified with calcium and protein and even vitamin D. So it's not so worrisome anymore as it was when those products first started becoming really popular. But you just want to flip the product around, look at the back, and just see if it's got, you can look at the nutrition facts label and see if it has, you can look at the very bottom and it'll have, where it has calcium and potassium and all of those things at the bottom. You want to look and just make sure it's got, at least 25 to 50% of your, daily recommended amount of calcium and vitamin D in there, and protein. All right, so like I was saying, we've discussed the importance of calcium, but again, our bodies need vitamin D to absorb that calcium, so our bodies can actually use that calcium, so it can get to our bones and all the places it needs to go. So it's important to make sure we're also getting enough vitamin D. So most people know that we can get vitamin D through sunlight, that our skin can make vitamin D when it's exposed to UV light from the sunlight. However, obviously, the sun isn't as bright and it's not out for as long as it is at all times of the year. So in the summertime, it's out all the time and it's very bright and sunny, but in the wintertime, it's cold and the sun doesn't stay out for as long of a time. We're covering up because it's cold, we're staying indoors more, so we're kind of limited to how much vitamin D we can get from the sun, depending on what time of the year it is. Also, as we get older, we tend to protect our skin a little more. We're not so concerned with tans and all of that, so we are more aware of the dangers of skin cancer. So we're also probably putting more sunscreen on. We're wearing long sleeves and long pants, which is recommended. And also our skin, unfortunately, starts to lose the ability to convert that UV light into vitamin D. So we're not reaping the benefits of sunlight as much as we might think we are as far as vitamin D synthesis. So it's honestly probably not a very reliable source, especially for older adults. So you want to focus more on getting it through food or maybe a vitamin supplement. And also, just another word on the skin cancer. My dad's a dermatologist, so I think the risk of skin cancer probably outweigh the benefits of getting vitamin D through sun. So I would focus more on preventing skin cancer than making sure you're getting vitamin D from the sun. Again, it's really easy to get, well, it's not as easy to get through food, but you can get it through food or a vitamin supplement. Okay, so some of the common sources of vitamin D are milk, egg yolks, fatty fish such as salmon and tuna, mackerel, things like that. And then also fortified foods, again, kind of like we've talked about with cereal and fruit juices and things like that. Vitamin D is also very commonly fortified in other types of foods because it's not as easy to get through food. So you always might want to look for products that are fortified with vitamin D. And a lot of those dairy alternatives usually are, and juices now have it in them. And if you are if you are someone that enjoys milk, like milk has just so many benefits, and that is a great source for vitamin D as well. Alrighty, so again, that's also why, a lot of times if you were to take a vitamin D supplement or a calcium supplement, they're usually, together. You can get one that has vitamin D and calcium together. So that's always recommended. And again, you don't have to focus so hard on, if I have some calcium, then I have to have vitamin D at the exact same time. As long as you're kind of getting it within a 24-hour period, you're probably going to be okay. As long as you're getting the proper amount that you need each day within a 24-hour period. Honestly, a lot of times we kind of teach rather than focusing on a day-to-day basis, like, am I getting enough calcium? Am I getting enough of this and enough of that? You can really just kind of focus on making sure, like, over a week's amount of time is all kind of averaging out to what you need each day. So you don't have to sit and do all the calculations. That's my job. But again, if you are just making sure you're getting a wide variety of fruits and veggies, lean proteins, healthy carbs, all those healthy lean fats, you're probably going to be fine as far as all of your vitamins and minerals and things that you need, pairing them up, etc. So, if you're striving to eat a healthy diet, a reasonably healthy diet, you're going to probably be okay. All right, so the one final pairing that we're going to talk about, and this is something a lot of people aren't really aware of, is that, of all the vitamins out there that we have, we've got A, all the B vitamins, C, D, E, and K, those are our vitamins. There are some that are called water-soluble vitamins, and there are some that are fat-soluble vitamins. So what this means, so our water-soluble vitamins are vitamin C and the B vitamins. So what that means is they need water to be absorbed into your body, and then they tend to just, once you take them in, once your body has what it needs, then it just leaves your body when you go to the bathroom. So that's why sometimes you might hear people say if you're someone who takes a lot of vitamins and minerals, you're just going to have really expensive urine because a lot of that will just flow right out once your body has what it needs. But the fat-soluble vitamins are vitamins A, D, E, and K. So as we learned in school, to remember that you can kind of make a word out of it, and that is ADEC. So A, D, E, and K. These are our fat-soluble vitamins. So what that means is two things. To you, it means two things. One, you need some fat with those vitamins for your body to absorb them and be able to use them. It also means that your body is going to store those vitamins for when it needs them. And so then if you're getting too much of these vitamins and your body's just storing them, then they start to build up, and they can potentially lead to toxic levels. It's not as likely, and that's not something you really need to worry about too much. But for purposes of what we're talking about today with pairings, the important thing to remember is for these 4 vitamins to properly be absorbed into your body and to be able to be used by your body, you need to pair them with some sort of a fat. So that's why they're called fat-soluble vitamins. So the little fat globules basically like surround the vitamin and then helps it get absorbed into your small intestines, and then it get processed into your body. So this may sound complicated, but it's not. So, these vitamins are very popular in all of our like brightly colored vegetables. And what do you put on vegetables a lot of times? Like in a salad dressing, which is primarily oil, and oil is a fat, so you're covered. So another option is like if you're eating carrots, you can dip them in some ranch, and ranch is primarily oil, which is a fat, and there you go. You're gonna absorb all of that vitamin A really easily. So it's really easy. You always just want to make sure if you're eating a lot of brightly colored fruits and veggies, you want to just make sure you're pairing it with some kind of an oil. So if you're eating vegetables, maybe a little olive oil or any kind of vegetable oil, coconut oil, salad dressings are all oil and fat, so that's going to cover you right there. But for fruits, obviously you probably aren't going to drizzle olive oil or salad dressing on your fruit. So other things to consider would be a full-fat yogurt, or pairing it with some peanut butter, or maybe even some kind of nuts or seeds. All of these things carry good sources of healthy fats, which will benefit you in a lot of ways, but also to help you absorb these vitamins and minerals. You could also consider, butter even on some of your veggies, in small amounts. Also cheese. Cheese has some good fat in it as well. So anything that is fatty, especially the healthy unsaturated fats, are good options for pairing with your brightly colored fruits and veggies, which are going to have a lot of these fat-soluble vitamins in them. So something to keep in mind, and that's not too hard to remember. I mean, most of the time when you have a meal, you're going to have all kinds of different textures and flavors and things going on, and so you're probably going to be covered by something on your plate to help that those vitamins get absorbed. Alrighty, so hopefully you've have a newfound respect for some of the nutrition power couples we have out there. If you have any questions about how much vitamins and minerals you need, are you getting enough? Am I getting enough of the pairing to make sure it's being properly utilized in my body? I'm always happy to answer those questions for you kind of on a one-on-one, because a lot of this is individualized to your body and what you need and what you like to eat and don't like to eat. So I'm always happy to answer those questions. So I'm so glad that you all tuned in today. If you aren't able to watch the show live, don't forget that we record them now. So they're always available on the My Cedarfield app or website. You can go into Diet and Nutrition, it's the Apple, and you can see all the videos on there. We've got like a year's worth out there. So if you miss it, if you miss the live stream, you can always catch it there. So we'd love to see, how many views we get on our videos. So be sure to tell your friends if they're not aware, and let them know that that is out there for them to see. Alrighty, so go out there and enjoy that pretty day today, and we will see you again probably in 2 weeks, because I think next week is Residence Council. So y'all enjoy that and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.